All right, if you're a parent today, you know this feeling, right? The digital world, it's just a whole different ballgame. The rules we grew up with, they just don't really cut it anymore. So the big question is, how do we actually guide our kids through all of this? Well, today, we're going to dive into a really powerful new way of thinking about it, one that's less about fear and a whole lot more about empowerment.
You know, for the longest time, the go-to advice was super simple, right? Don't talk to strangers. But let's be real for a second. Think about today's world. With multiplayer games, all the social media, even online school. That rule isn't just a little outdated. It's pretty much impossible to follow. The entire digital world has changed, and that means our whole approach has to change with it.
So, for so long, we were kind of playing defense, you know? The focus was all on safety, on keeping kids safe, basically treating them like they weren't quite ready to handle the online world. But the new goal? It flips that completely. It's about being proactive. It's about building something called digital citizenship, which is all about encouraging them to take charge and empowering them to be responsible members of that world right from the get-go.
So let's talk about this new goal, digital citizenship. And look, this is not some long, rigid list of don'ts, not at all. Think of it more like a mindset. It's a whole set of skills that helps teach our kids how to show up online in a thoughtful, ethical way.
Okay, so the core idea behind this, and it's a really powerful one, is getting our kids to see their digital life not as some separate video game, but as a real part of their community. It's about fostering this mindset where they get that their online actions, what they post, what they share, the comments they leave, all of that has a real impact. It's a direct reflection of who they are. It's all about connecting that digital self to their real-world self.
So you might be wondering, okay, that sounds great, but how do we actually teach this? Well, it can start with something really simple, a kind of 5-step mental checklist they can use in pretty much any online situation. It's all about teaching them to just slow down, pause before you react, get curious and explore other viewpoints, try to find the actual facts, and before you do anything, just think for a second about the possible outcomes. See, it's a simple framework that helps them shift from just reacting on impulse to really engaging consciously.
But, of course, we all know this, right? Even with the best plan in the world, kids are still kids. They're learning, they're growing, and that means mistakes aren't just possible, they are absolutely going to happen. They're inevitable. And honestly, how we respond when they do happen, that might be the single most important thing we do as their guides in this digital world.
And this next part is so important for us as parents to hear. When your kid makes a mistake online, it is so easy to feel that pit in your stomach, that shame, or even to start blaming yourself. But listen, that mistake is not a report card on your parenting. It just isn't. We have got to let go of that impossible idea of perfection, not just for our kids, but for ourselves too.
And this all leads to a really crucial question, one that kind of defines everything. When they mess up, when they make that bad call or break a rule, what's our gut reaction? Is it to punish, to take things away and isolate them? Or is it to lean in, connect, and try to understand? Because believe me, the path we choose in that moment makes all the difference. The answer really is to shift from confrontation to conversation. What does that look like? It means you listen first, and you lead with love, always. You create a space where they feel safe enough to tell you what really happened. Then you can try to understand what was behind it. Was it peer pressure? Were they trying to fit in? And from there, you help them take that feeling of guilt and turn it into something productive, a way to learn and a plan to make it right. Now, let me be super clear about something. This whole loving, conversational approach, it is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. Not at all. Connection does not mean there are no consequences. Accountability is still absolutely key. The goal just shifts, you see. It's not about punishment just for the sake of punishment. It's about helping them feel genuine remorse that actually leads to them making better choices down the road.
Okay, so we've talked about the right mindset, digital citizenship, and we've got a game plan for when things inevitably go wrong. So that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. How do we show up every day? How do we become that proactive, conscientious guide in their digital world?
Being consciously present really just means jumping into their world with them. You got to learn their digital language, figure out the slang, laugh at the memes they think are hilarious. Instead of being the expert, be a student. Ask them to teach you about the apps and games they love. This is how you build a bridge instead of a wall. And maybe the most important thing of all, you have to model the behavior you want to see. Because trust me, they are always watching how you use your own phone. So here's a practical toolkit for you. 3 really simple ways to put all this into practice. First, for accountability, try doing a family media inventory. And yeah, that means everyone, parents included, takes an honest look at their own screen habits. For connection, create some sacred device-free zones, like the dinner table. And for curiosity, set aside a digital student hour where your kid gets to be the teacher. You see, these aren't just rules you're handing down. They're values you're building as a family.
So, I want to leave you with this one final thought. It's a bit of a reframe. We spend so much energy worrying about our kids making mistakes, especially online, right? But what if we looked at it differently? What if your child's next mistake isn't a crisis you have to manage? What if it's actually your single greatest opportunity? An opportunity to connect, to teach, and to really guide them toward becoming those thoughtful, amazing digital citizens we know they can be.